Hello.
I'm looking for, and listen to how I say your name, Brad Gagnon. You like
This
that?
is Brad. How's it going?
Isn't that great? Hey, it's going pretty good, and thanks so much for joining us from the Bleacher Report. And I just, I started to talk about it earlier on, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals. So as soon as I say Cincinnati Bengals, you get a lot of eye rolling. You get a couple of little, including talking about Andy Dalton. That was a big game they played in the weekend. They've been very consistent this year in the NFL. I mean, you kind of check a lot of boxes with them on how they actually play, including on defense. Can we believe in them? Because a lot of people get burned by them.
Yeah, I'm still leery of them. I mean, the 3-1 start is nice. You wonder if in a new offense, in a new system, Andy Dalton has started to finally sort of get it together after several down seasons in a row. He's got one of the best receivers in the game, and A.J. Green, obviously. We'll see if John Ross can gain some consistency as a second-year top 10 pick at that wide receiver position. Look, they've been doing it the last couple of weeks anyway without Joe Mixon, who was supposed to be their stud back this season, averaged 4.7 yards per carry, has been injured, and will be out probably a few more weeks. But the fact is that they went toe-to-toe with the Falcons, and they came out on top. They made some big plays in the clutch. And aside from a bit of a blip in Carolina, which is never an easy place to win, they've been perfect this season. So we'll see if they can keep it up. The schedule, Miami's a team they can definitely beat to get to 4-1, and then they'll have a very fascinating game if they can win that Dolphins game at home against Pittsburgh in 2 weeks, which could decide kind of who sticks around with the Ravens in that division at this point.
Yeah, let's stay in that division and let's talk about that Ravens-Steelers game, and more in particular the Steelers. Are we, I know it's only 4 games into the season, but are we slowly starting to see the early stages of that Pittsburgh, I'm not going to say dynasty, but some really nice years? Are we starting to see it crumble where Big Ben is on the verge of retirement? Their stud running back is not going to be back, or it appears not to be back, and their wide receiver, I have a feeling that he might be another piece that's going to go soon. Are we starting to see the early stages of the crumbling of the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise as we know them in the last decade?
Yeah, it's feeling that way. You look at guys like T.J. Watt and Juju Smith-Schuster, and you wonder if they can avoid, that rebuild. But ultimately, a quarterback is what you need, and if you don't have one, you're not going to be there. And if you do have one, you're usually going to be a contender still. So I think it comes down to Roethlisberger and how long he can play. And he's of course been there's been speculation regarding his retirement for several years in a row now. If indeed he is starting to lose it, that's the difference. I don't think having Le'Veon Bell or not is a Super Bowl versus a 5-win season for the Steelers as much as his absence has hurt. I don't think that Antonio Brown even alone can be that big of a difference maker, although his struggles this season, at least compared to previous seasons, have been concerning and probably somewhat of a byproduct of the struggles from Roethlisberger and, of course, the lack of balance established by Connor versus Bell in the backfield. But, yeah, I mean, you got to look at Roethlisberger and just wonder, the last few years haven't been statistically as strong as they were. He hasn't had a triple-digit passer rating since 2014. Kind of come back to earth a little bit in terms of his interceptions the last few years, where he's thrown 43 in the last 3 seasons and has 5 in first 5 games this year. Just doesn't look as crisp, and he's on pace to put up his worst season in nearly a decade statistically right now. So, he's definitely a guy who I think is running out of gas. And we've said that before and been fooled before about lots of other great players, future Hall of Famers like Roethlisberger is. But considering the momentum that the Bengals, Ravens, and even Browns have in that AFC North, it's definitely time to at least probably be concerned about the Steelers' future.
We're in conversation with Brad Gagnon from Bleacher Report here on Raw Mike Richards. You're either watching on the .com, the dedicated YouTube channel, or listening exclusively right here on Sportsnet, the Fan 960. I look at the Bears and the Buccaneers. It looks like it's a tale of 2 teams going completely different directions. The Bucs got a crazy start to the season, and they had people a little confused there for a little bit, but it's starting to sort of play out, and I'm looking at a Bears team now 3-1. Trubisky looked really good. They pound the Buccaneers. Just how good are the Bears?
I think they're good enough to make the playoffs this season, and that's something that even now a lot of folks doubt, but especially at the beginning of the season, it was like, well, this is a team that just won a handful of games under John Fox last couple of years, and is Mitchell Trubisky really ready after 13 college starts and one babied rookie season to take the next step? And that was a fair question. Still is a fair question, because the Bucs defense is terrible. But it's definitely, we're at a point now where we can start to wonder if maybe Trubisky's taking that next step with Matt Nagy as his offensive coordinator. They looked fantastic in scripted situations the first few weeks of the season, where that first drive or two of the game, which Nagy has pre-planned with his offensive staff and with Trubisky, they're going down the field, they're getting in the end zone. And then all of a sudden the wheels were sort of coming off when Trubisky was freelancing and having to make big plays sort of under his own power. But that all changed against the Bucs. And yeah, bad defense, but 48 points and a guy throwing 6 touchdown passes. It doesn't matter what defense you're playing against. The fact is that the passer rating that he posted, I believe it was 154.6 in yesterday's game, is a rating that Aaron Rodgers has only reached in one game of his entire career. I mean, it's pretty remarkable performance regardless of who he faced. And it's an indication that this offense can probably put up 24, 27, 30 points against more competitive defenses, which when Khalil Mack is playing the way he is, and he's supported the way he is by the many pieces they have on the defensive side of the ball there, that's all you need to win a lot of ball games and to be potentially right there in the NFC North.
If you're looking at the power rankings through the first month of the season, we're basically in the this week when we start Thursday Night Football, we're basically in the second quarter of the football season. Is there a better team than the Los Angeles Rams?
No, the Chiefs are right there. I don't think anyone else is right there except for Kansas City. I think, a big performance against the Broncos for KC will kind of keep them in that conversation. They don't have the defense, right? I mean, they're not an all-around as good a team as the Rams are, who can do it on both sides of the ball, who obviously have that incredible duo up front in Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald. And so that's the difference right now. If the Chiefs, the Earl Thomas rumors are now gone because unfortunately he looks like he's down for the year. But if they can bring in some help in the secondary, if Eric Berry can get healthy, just anything that can kind of make them, a little more respectable on the defensive side of the ball, and Patrick Mahomes can keep doing what he's doing in that Andy Reid offense with all those weapons, they can be right there. And the thing that's going for the Chiefs that's not going for the Rams is they don't have as much competition. I mean, the AFC West, doesn't look particularly strong this season. The AFC is significantly weaker than the NFC. And so long as those dynamics exist, the Chiefs are going to have a chance to potentially end up winning more games than the Rams this year just because they have a little bit of a softer way. Beyond that, look at the Eagles. They could be 0-4 right now the way they've played. The Patriots, they're just 2-2. They have struggled generally. Not a lot of weapons and support for Tom Brady. The defense is bad. The Saints have been struggling defensively and have had to win a few games by the skin of their teeth. The Jaguars lost to the Titans in a single-digit performance. It really is Rams, then Chiefs, and then
so you can recognize what brand you're looking at. Sorry, there's something busting onto the that was the Eagles actually driving down the toilet, I think is what it was. I did not see this at 2-2, but there's a couple of teams also that I'm just unsure about. And when I see a performance by Marcus Mariota, I saw what Tennessee does. I just still don't know how good the Titans are.
I agree. I think that the jury's still out on that team. I think that the key takeaway for the Titans this season so far is that Mike Vrabel's a good coach, and he's got those guys coming up big in big moments. He's making good decisions. You have to admire what he did by going for it on fourth down when he essentially had to decide between accepting what was almost certainly going to be a tie versus a loss or a win, and gambling, and it paying off. And that's, I think, the key takeaway here, is that at least they know their coach, the hire they made, the somewhat hire for a fairly inexperienced head coach in the offseason, looks as though it has paid off, and that's an upgrade so far over Mike Mularkey. And so, that alone is good. We still don't know if Marcus Mariota can A, stay healthy, and B, be consistently productive when he is healthy. Derrick Henry has not taken the reins they expected in the backfield when they essentially promoted him for DeMarco Murray in the offseason. Corey Davis, their top 5 pick at the wide receiver position, yet to fully take off as well. So a lot of unanswered questions still about the Titans on both sides of the ball, really. And then, that division will give them some margin for error. Again, the AFC's weaker and the AFC South looks even weaker. The Texans and Colts were both embarrassing yesterday. The Jaguars are strong, but for some reason the Titans have their number. They beat them in 5 straight games now. So, as long as that's the case, I think they're going to stick around this season. But again, we haven't gotten a good feel. Even the Eagles, you think that was finally this litmus test. It was sort of a weird game. The Eagles didn't look right. The Bills won't be much more of a test in week 5, regardless of what happens. But there's going to be times this year. I mean, they played the Ravens, they played the Patriots, they played the Jags again, of course, and that's when we're going to get a feel, I think, for exactly what this Tennessee team's ceiling looks like.
Hey, Brad, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Always appreciate the time, and hopefully we'll catch up with you again real soon. We appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks a lot for having me. That
is Brad Gagnon from Bleacher Report, making it through all the little magical, stupid little internet things, little commercials, and you never tell, right? You're sitting there going, okay, well, I've got this ready to go, and this is going to happen, and of course, we got to throw a commercial in front of it.
Ba-da-da.
What? We just become best friends? Yep.